I've been getting hundreds of calls from pissed off patriots. If I were to use these and the comments on my videos as a barometer, I would have to say that all that is needed is one event before people who are fed up go and do what I've been saying for 4 years must be done. We are beyond the point of Revolution 2.0, and you'll know it for certain after you watch this.
Warning: the following content may be disturbing and even traumatic for some viewers. We understand post-traumatic stress disorder and emotional triggers, so I must warn you, this material cannot be unseen. Definitely do not allow young children to watch or listen to this video.
From the prepareforchange.net website, I will leave a link in the description. Headline reads, European royals allegedly killing children in human hunting parties. 4 eyewitnesses testify. And this was April 20th, 2019. It's a little old, but this was just pointed out to me. This is one in a series of articles taken from eyewitness testimony before the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels. 5 international judges are examining evidence of child rape, torture, murder, and kidnapping allegedly done by global elite members of the Ninth Circle Satanic Child Sacrifice Cult Network. Regular Ninth Circle child sacrifices were said to take place in the catacombs of Catholic cathedrals, the Vatican, on private estates and groves, and government military bases in Belgium, Holland, Spain, Australia, Ireland, France, England, and the U.S. And following this, I'm going to show you one that I believe exists. At least 34 child mass graves were identified in Ireland, Spain, and Canada, and refused excavation by their respective governments, the Crown of England and the Catholic Church. Gee, I wonder why. Named as present in Ninth Circle activities were Pope Francis, former Pope Ratzinger, Anglican, the United Church of Canada, and Catholic Church officials, including cardinals, members of European royalty, including Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, officials of the Canadian, Australian, UK, and US military and governments, including USA's CIA, plus prominent government ministers, judges, politicians, and businessmen from the US, Belgium, Holland, Canada, Australia, France, Ireland, and the UK. You gotta excuse me, I think I'm getting a little bit of a cold here. Teens were drugged, stripped naked, raped, hunted down in the woods, and killed by European royals, according to this week's latest eyewitness to testify before the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels. The woman was the 4th eyewitness to give accounts about these human hunting parties of the global elite Ninth Circle Satanic Child Sacrifice Cult Network. That's a mouthful, ain't it? A former member of the Netherlands criminal drug syndicate known as Octopus testified that victims were obtained for these human hunting parties from juvenile detention centers in Belgium and Holland. Quote, in 2004, I was an involuntary witness to torture, rape, and murder sessions of drugged children performed for a group of high-ranked people of the Netherlands, stated a woman. I was taken to a hunting party in Belgium, close to Brussels, where I saw 2 boys and a girl, ages 14 to 16, hunted and killed by global elites. The human hunting party was heavily guarded by the Netherlands Royal Guards. I was told that King Albert of Belgium was present, end quote. 4 eyewitnesses confirmed that as children and youths, they were forced to attend human hunting parties where they and other children were raped, with some killed, and deceased boys' penises were cut off. This is some really sick shit, folks. If this doesn't start Revolution 2.0, I don't know what will. I just don't know what will. Allegedly, there was a Dutch countryside palace where boys' penises were displayed like trophies on a wall. Some hunting parties were hosted on the grounds of Netherlands at Queen Beatrix's palace. Dutch therapist Toos Nijunius claimed that as a 4-year-old she was forced to witness murders of children that involved former Pope Ratzinger, a Dutch Catholic cardinal, plus the father of Netherlands Queen Beatrix and Bilderberger founder Dutch Crown Prince Alfred Bernhard. Quote, I saw the former Pope Joseph Ratzinger murder a little girl, end quote, another witness confirmed. Quote, it was at a French chateau in the fall of 1987. It was ugly, horrible, and didn't happen just once. Ratzinger and Bernard were some of the more prominent men who took part, end quote. In Ireland, Spain, and Canada, 34 child mass grave sites were discovered and appeared linked to Ninth Circle activities. The largest was the Mohawk Indian Residential School in Brantford, Ontario, where child remains were identified in 2008 before the Catholic Church, Canadian government, and English Crown shut down the dig by professional archaeologists. The 2013 ICLCJ court had found Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip guilty for the October 10, 1964 disappearance of 10 native children from the Catholic residential school in Kamloops, British Columbia. In the first 2 weeks of the 2014 court, witnesses identified Dutch and Belgian royal participants in the rape and killing of Mohawk children and newborns. Named were Bernard and King Hendrik, consort to Queen Wilhelmina of Holland. Alleged to be present during the human hunting parties were the late Prince Johann Friso and his wife Mabel Wis-Smit, former ministers, the top man of the Dutch army, the undersecretary of the Raad van State in the Netherlands, the viceroy next to Queen Beatrix, and other global business and political leaders, including some from the United States. Surely, the present King Willem Alexander and King Philip and their wives know about this abuse and murder of children, said one eyewitness. They do nothing about it and likely are the ones to stop investigations and prosecutions. In January 2014, the brother of the King of Holland, Prince Johann Friso, passed away in a coma after these 3 Dutch-language websites shown here reached the Internet. The websites revealed that Friso was at the human hunting and killing parties. Let's see what this website is here. Her Majesty's Secret Service. I'll leave this link in the description. I'll just copy that link and leave it for you in the description section. This way you can have it and look for it yourself. Let's see it. Her Majesty's Secret Service. There's a whole bunch of stuff here about the royals. Royals, my ass. Look at this shit. What the fuck is this shit? Unbelievable. This satanic crap. You know, look like some boat out of Vietnam that they go fishing with. Who the hell knows what the hell this shit is? It looks like a pretty long, drawn-out thing that you can explore on yourself. I'll leave the link, and this way you have it. I'll go back. Let's go back. Okay. The story came on the internet after years of trying to move the Policy and Justice Department in the Netherlands to act against the criminals, an eyewitness said. Nobody did anything to stop these criminals, probably because Queen Beatrix and King Albert likely interfered with the investigations. Human hunting parties were said to take place on the grounds of Belgium, Queen Beatrix's palace in the Netherlands. Two witnesses have named former Pope Joseph Ratzinger and Queen Beatrice's father as the deceased Prince Alfred Bernhard as being present at child sacrifices. Both were said to be Nazi sympathizers. How come that comes as no surprise? The ICLCJ court received a collection of Jesuit archival records about a child sacrificial cult known as the Knights of Darkness. In 1933, the Knights were established by the Catholic Jesuits and Nazi Waffen-SS division. The records show Ratzinger was identified as a member of the Knights while working as an SS chaplain's assistant at the Ravensbrück concentration camp in Germany. The records also stated that Ratzinger participated in child sacrificial rites using kidnapped children from the camps or political prisoners. Another court document called the Magisterial Privilege indicated child sacrifice was a regular occurrence at the Vatican. At the tender age of 12, Svali of San Diego County, California, claims she was brought to the catacombs beneath the Vatican to witness the sacrifice of a 3-year-old drugged boy. In this video, her interviewer said that 24 years prior, a Maria told him she witnessed another satanic child sacrifice rite in the same Vatican catacombs. And I will play that video, a portion of it anyway, right now.
When I was 4 years old, I'm the oldest one from the whole family, and it's a church ritual from what is in the Bible. The first born should be offered to God. And that was what they did to me when I was 4 years old. And then they put me on my stomach on the table. And the vicar, he put his fingers in my vagina, and it was bleeding. And then my grandfather did it, not with his fingers, but with his penis, and all they were singing and then my uncle did the same, and it took an hour before they were ready in the hole. It was a blanket, a white blanket where I was on laying, but it was totally red. My grandfather, he paid the figure for this holy sacrificing thing, and I was kaput. Broken. And afterwards I had to go more than once a week to my grandfather's house to let myself abuse by him. And then he raped me, and also my uncle did the same to me, and sometimes it was in the bedroom, sometimes it was in where the cows were.
Who were your grandpa and uncle and all of them connected to that they were involved in this ritualistic rape and abuse? What is the connection? Who is it like a Freemasons or cult or satanic organization?
For me, it's from the church. And
you said the vicar was present at the ceremony. How did you know he was the vicar? Were they calling him by that name, or did you recognize him? Or
I know it.
You know, yeah.
Try to bring you, to put you in a position that you are unable to do things, and to make your
feel guilty.
Yeah, feel guilty. When I was 5 years old, the house doctor did come, who always also give me the pills after the ritual. And he he taught my parents how to torture me with electricity. Then he bound me on the table and gave me electricity through my fingers or hands and feet. And afterwards, when that was done, I was always naked. He stimulated the clitoris to give me a clitoral orgasm. So torturing and orgasm should go together. And that was, he came 3 times to teach my parents that, and it was my mother who had to do it.
So your mother used to give you an orgasm?
Yeah.
Stimulate you?
Yeah.
Your mother was sexually abusing you too?
Yeah. My mother trained me, and it was a training for the Freemasons, it's an examination, a kind of examination, if they will come through or not, if they are really pedophile or...
so it's initiation,
yeah.
you mean? Okay.
And that was at about 5-6 kilometers from our home. There was a small castle in the wood, in the forest, and they brought me there when I was 6 years old.
Let's talk about the castle in the forest.
The house doctor, he was the one who took me there. Then he put an ooievaarsbek.
Stortjesbeek.
That thing you put into when you go to the gynecologist, a cold metal duck looking thing.
Yeah, duck.
Yeah.
How do you call it?
We call it a duck.
A duck. He put a duck in my vagina, and then he stimulated the clitoris. So there I got an orgasm. And the one who couldn't have, or who didn't get an erection, fell down there was one hole in the circle, and then that hole went open and he fell out through it, and during that falling, how it was exactly done, I don't know, but the man got off his hole.
Okay, so because he didn't get an erection, looking at you having this done to you, they cut off his penis and threw him down a hole.
Yeah. They went downstairs, and there the man, they had to do necrophilia with that dead body.
So this is the one who got his... So the other men had to do that with him?
What did they do exactly?
penetrate him.
Anally?
Sorry.
Like, from behind? Yeah, yeah. It's okay, relax. Right.
And then the one who didn't come through that act, or could not penetrate, had to come to me again, because then I was upstairs, or they put a cross knife in my, the doctor did it, the bok, or the devil, in my vagina.
So was it pointing down, out?
They,
Not inside, it was pointing out?
no, the blade was out.
Okay.
The
Okay.
doctor-
It's not a handle,
the doctor
it was
did
a
that.
tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not to give me pain, it was to make the penis from the...
Okay. Just so we can clarify. So the man who didn't want to penetrate necrophilia had to then come to you.
Yeah.
You had a blade inside of you. And what happened?
He had to penetrate me again, and that gave that his penis was splitting up. And that did happen in different places, also in the south of Holland, in Limburg. There was in IJs a small castle where they brought me, and there were more men together, and they put me naked on a table to play with me, and afterwards they brought me to a torturing room where I was also tortured, and there were also...
Were the other children involved?
No, I would like this to...
Oh, sorry.
It was not only the torturing, and it were not only men who raped me, but also in IJs it was also a dog who raped me.
Sorry?
A dog.
Dog.
And on that castle where the Freemasons examination was, there were also, it was in the forest, they had some jacht, hunting. They hunted, I would like to say us. There were more, me and also my sister, and there were more. But it was at night, it was dark.
What did they do exactly on the hunting?
What I remember, I was naked and it was cold, and there was on my feet, I put my feet in a clam so I couldn't go on any longer.
I'm sorry, on a what?
I know.
Like a bear trap, a clamp.
Yeah.
Like you had a trap around it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And it was hunting with dogs, not with a gun, but it was, and they were on horses. It was with Prince Bernhard.
I'm sorry. Who?
Prince Bernhard, the former
And
king of...
Cardinal Alfring.
Cardinal.
Alfring.
How do we spell that?
A-L-F-R-I-N-K.
A-L-F-R-I-N-K.
He was a Catholic cardinal?
Yes. Yeah.
And the Prince Bernhard.
Yeah, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, the man who set up Bilderberg.
How
And the
old-
World Wildlife Federation.
How old were you when this happened? The hunting?
At about 9,
No.
10 years old, 7. During that whole period it happened. And it was not only in that forest. But they put the dogs to hunt us. And then when you could not go on, and there was that clam around my feet, the dogs, they raped us, and they were laughing and putting jokes on me.
How many men did this?
What I know or what I see is 2 men, but probably there were more, I don't know.
Were there other children involved? Were you the only child or was the others with you?
I know that I heard crying or screaming, and it was my sister, and she didn't take part afterwards on those hunting parties. But with me, they took me to England, to Wales, Scotland.
Who took you?
The doctor.
I'm sorry, hunting parties in Wales? And
In Carnarvon Castle and in nearby Fort Williams in Scotland.
being 2 years.
Carmen was here with 3 other girls. The other girls are all beaten to death. One is they put petrol on it or burned her.
Gas to burn the body?
No, when she was alive.
When she was alive, burned.
And one is beaten to death with sticks. And the third one, I don't know at this moment what happened to her. And Carmen, she was very scared. She could not say anything. She was on her knees laying, and after that, there were a lot of. She told that about 20 people here around her. One of them was my father, and one of them was her father. And her father, he raped her afterwards.
Here, on the spot.
And this was, you say, 2 years ago?
When she was just 12, it was 2.5 years ago. It was around November, December 2010. 10.
November 2010.
Wow.
And now that you've watched that, let's continue with the article. Last week, an Irish police investigator reported to the ICLCJ court that the close to 800 babies buried in a Catholic nun's septic tank were dismembered, decapitated, and in bits and pieces, signs that they could have been murdered in a satanic child sacrifice rite. In the last 2 months, the ICLCJ court has heard these heart-wrenching testimonies about the rape, torture, and murder of children as recently as 2010 by Catholic leaders, European royal family members, and other global elites. Elites, my ass. Murder sites of the Ninth Circle satanic child sacrifice cult were said to be in the catacombs of Catholic cathedrals, including the Vatican, and on private estates, military establishments, and groves in Belgium, Holland, Spain, Australia, France, England, and the United States. And after I read this, I'm going to show you one potential one. The ICLCJ court has been overwhelmed with newly discovered evidence and a number of new witnesses coming forward to testify about Ninth Circle satanic child sacrifice cult activities. Now there's a video here. It says Kevin Arnett, 800 Irish babies slaughtered, witnesses to Dutch Prince and Prime Minister and Soros hunting children. We will play that video right now.
Welcome back. We're with Kevin Annett, who is the Field Secretary of the International Common Law Court of Justice. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, Alfred.
Well, there's quite a lot of news from the trial of Pope Francis in Brussels. There's news of Irish babies being ritually murdered and a number of new names coming up. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I'll just summarize what we posted this week. It's up at itccs.org if people want to read it, although there have been a few new reports over the last 24 hours. Main report has to do with the story that's all over the world news, including, in the main corporate media, the nearly 800 babies whose remains were found in a cistern at what's called the St. Mary's Home for Mothers and Babies in Tuam. It's pronounced Chom, actually, in Irish. Tuam, Tuam, Ireland. Now, the official story is that they don't know how these children died. There's no crime scene at all, but they plan an investigation. Now, this is like an official in-house investigation where the church that did it and the government get together and decide what they're going to release about it. However, sources inside the Garda, which is the national police force in Ireland, have told us that it's the case that their forensic people have already gone in there and done some examinations. On the basis of that, there was a statement from one of these cops that said that, I believe the quote was, these children weren't simply killed, they were slaughtered, because they bear all the marks of what they understand to be ritual sacrifice. For example, the bodies are dismembered and decapitated. There's bits of bodies, they're not entire skeletons. And this was common among the remains that they examined. So obviously there was strong evidence that there were ritual killings of babies going on, which fits the pattern of this Ninth Circle cult that operates within the Roman Catholic Church and which has been documented and described already in the evidence before the Common Law Court in Brussels. In the case of Jorge Bergoglio, Pope Francis, and others who are now being tried for these crimes and the trafficking of children. So this is very important evidence, and it flies in the face of the whole way the issue is being presented to the world, and that is, these unfortunate children died somehow, and the Catholic Church is talking about setting up a memorial site, the usual kind of controlled spin on the whole issue. But clearly there's evidence that these children were ritually killed. Second aspect of that has to do with another eyewitness who's come forward in Holland. This is a former a public servant. I won't say in what capacity, because we're protecting this witness. But I spoke to this person on Skype over the last week, and this woman described in detail the operation of child sacrifice cults in Holland and Belgium. Now, she's the fourth one to come forward with the same kind of story, involving, in this case, the younger brother of the present King of Holland. His name's King Willem. He had a younger brother called Friso, and this man, according to this witness, was involved in continual killing of children and teenagers. Now, the way this happened was, this person is tied into the witness was a former member of what's called the Octopus. That's the name she had for it. It's a crime syndicate in the Netherlands and Belgium that controls the whole drug trade and is tied in closely with the government and the royal family. Now, according to this witness, the way it worked is the criminal syndicate gets children out of juvenile detention centers all over the Netherlands and Belgium. The detention centers are told that these children are going to work at the royal palace, Queen Beatrix's home, and these children are taken off in work parties and then they're never seen again. There are inside court officials who cover for the disappearances by saying, no, these children have been moved elsewhere. But in fact, what happens is these children and teenagers are taken out and used not only in ritual killings, but in hunting parties, human hunting parties, where they're let loose naked in the woods after being drugged and taken out there, and they're hunted down and shot and killed. Now, this eyewitness says she witnessed in the year 1996, 2000, and 2004 these same kind of rituals going on. In this one incident she described from 2004, 2 young boys and a girl were let loose. These were young juvenile offenders, 14 to 16 years old. They were let loose in the woods. They were hunted down and killed and shot. And then the young boys had their penises cut off, and the hunters were holding up these penises as trophies, hunting trophies. She also describes being sent or going to a palace near there in the Dutch countryside, where these penises were actually displayed on the wall like hunting trophies. Now, she said people who were involved in this one incident included the present Prime Minister of Holland. His name is Mark Rutte, R-U-T-T-E. George Soros, the multi-billionaire, who is a friend of this Prince Friso. Her name is Mabel Wiss-Smith. And Prince Friso was there taking active part in it. Former judges, the head of the military, a guy called Dick Berlin, and the hunting party itself in Holland and Belgium were being guarded by soldiers. And in fact, one of these former members of the military, the Belgian military, is also willing to come forward now and confirm this. But the interesting thing is Friso himself died last year. There was a so-called skiing accident in Switzerland. He was brought back to a hospital. He was recovering, and then he died quickly in the hospital. So we think, as with the case with William Coombs and others, this was just a killing in the hospital to get rid of somebody who may have talked, because apparently he was killed soon before Laurent Louis, the Belgian member of parliament, was about to name him and others as part of the insiders in the government-run and royal family-connected child trafficking networks in Belgium. If you remember, he named members of the government. In fact, several of the same members that this woman has named. And we think that that's why Friso himself was killed, and why Laurent Louis is now facing charges and possible imprisonment for naming all this. So one final point on this new witness from Holland. She said in one incident she saw Friso talking to somebody who, unlike the rest of them, were not speaking Flemish or French, and he was referred to as the Irishman. He was a cardinal or a bishop, a fairly high prelate in the Catholic Church, and he was called the Irishman. So that's an interesting link as well with Ireland.
Right. So this begins to connect not only the Catholic Church, but also the monarchies, other monarchies, the Dutch monarchy and the Belgian monarchy. Does the tribunal have any plans to name them as defendants in a future action in Brussels?
Well, that's really up to the prosecutor's office. I can't, speak for them or anything. I'm just kind of an advisor to them. I'm feeding them a lot of this information and evidence. But it's clear that the initial case having to do with the 3 defendants, Pope Francis, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, and the head of the Jesuits, Adolfo Pachon, who, by the way, has already announced his upcoming resignation after being indicted in our case. All 3 of those were connected to this Ninth Circle ritual cult and the child trafficking. Clearly the case has evolved much beyond that now, and there's going to have to be spin-off cases, if justice is to be served, around all this evidence is pouring in now. So I would imagine, I couldn't imagine it not happening, considering all of this, the solid eyewitnesses, the documentation, and now this whole possible forensic evidence coming out of Ireland of children, babies, newborn babies who themselves appear to have been involved in some kind of ritual slaying.
Now, on your last trip to Brussels, you were able to meet with the former Belgian MP, Laurent Louis. and he was brought up on charges in a kangaroo court, a fraudulent proceeding, at which sentencing is going to occur only 4 days from this interview. Today's the 13th of June, and on the 17th of June, these were kangaroo proceedings in Brussels, in which he was sentenced to a 20 months suspended sentence and €50,000 fine for having in Parliament, under his parliamentary protection, stated that the Belgian Prime Minister, who has since resigned, was a pedophile. And in fact, now all of this evidence has been unearthed, at least at a prima facie level, by the tribunal. And you're going to be in Brussels in just about a week's time. Do you plan to bring this evidence, this prima facie evidence? Obviously it's going to the court, but at least two former MP Louis, and to the courts there, and to the media there, so that they can see that there's been significant attempt to cover all of this up.
Yeah, definitely. The thing about Laurent Louis to understand is that he's been targeted and he's a public figure, but there's many more people involved in this movement. He's part of something called Debout les Belges, Rise Belgians. And talking to some of his people, they want to expand this now. They don't want to be simply a political party anymore. They want to create a whole movement.
The rest of what he talks about is not related to the topic here. If you want to see the rest of this video, there is a link in the description section. And now I present a satellite tour of what I discovered in 1995 and noted GPS coordinates for. At that time, selective availability for GPS was in effect. Therefore, location waypoints have an error margin of plus or minus 2 to 300 feet. A Magellan Trailblazer handheld GPS was used.
These eyes have looked upon pharaohs and the son of the carpenter. Now they must look upon you.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this video. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your calls of encouragement. And most of all, thank you for your support. Please subscribe to our backup channels, Net4Truth USA 2 Patriot channel, BitChute.com/net4Truth USA, and drop.space/@Net4Truth USA. We fly so close to the target, we are on our 5th fighter jet. We will be relentless and persistent until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description, but for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.